Getting COVID sucked. We have got to make up for lost time now. We lost over a week and a half. So I'm calling in some friends and we're gonna be putting up a stage on the roof. I mean, there's actually two stages. There's the fold down wall that literally folds down and you walk out onto it. That's still to come. But the other stage is the one that goes on the roof. We've already put the bases through the roof. We have Radical Steel Fabrication helping us with that. And next up, we got Aaron coming in and he's gonna weld together the frame for the stage itself. And then we're gonna move that up and put it up there. While I was away, we hit a big snag. Our plywood sponsor dropped out. So suddenly we're without interior walls. So I called up my good friend Rick from Makoko Homes, and he very generously offered to supply us with our 3/8 plywood. So that is actually going to be arriving here very shortly. And then Danae from Carnegie Concepts will be coming in as well. And we're going to be learning from him on what kind of finish we should do on these plywood walls. I'm not a professional painter, so I'm gonna be leaning on him and you're gonna learn something too. All right, we just finished offloading all the plywood. We're gonna take one of our pieces of plywood, we're gonna quadrant it up into sections, and then we're gonna test out different stains on them.
So we need to prep the plywood, then we're gonna stain it, make sure we got a solid color throughout, whatever pigment we go through. Next we're going to seal it, just kind of lightly seal it, make sure the color stays in. Then we're gonna put the top coat on, do 2 or 3 coats of that, and yeah, should be ready to go.
Okay, we have arrived at our finished decision of what we're gonna be doing inside the house. Despite all those tests, we're just gonna go with a straight white paint. And here's why. In a small space, you don't really wanna make really busy walls. You want it to make it feel bigger than it is, light and bright. So by adding just a straight white flat paint, the space is gonna feel bigger. There is something else I'm gonna push us to try. Instead of trying to hide the seams, we're gonna try and see if we can router the seams and then burn them. Wish us luck.
You just have to keep this thing red hot.
That's the tricky part. If it's a bit bigger piece of metal, it might hold the heat longer. Just heat up the end, just like you did.
Yeah.
Okay, this isn't going quite like we thought. So first we tried to heat up a piece of metal extremely hot with a tiger torch. Thank you, Aaron from Radical Steel Fabrication, for coming out and helping us try this. However, it was too hard to get the metal hot enough to burn it and keep the heat in the metal to burn any significant amount of edge. So we scrapped that, which then made us try to use a little tiny propane torch, which also didn't work that well. We decided not to do the burned edges to the plywood. As cool as it is, it was gonna make those edges really brittle. And then when you go to screw in near the edge or use a nailer, it's very likely that it was gonna crack. And then you got all this extra finishing work. So just not worth our time. So anyways, good news is we've got our answer. We've got a bunch of work to do now. I'm calling in my good friend Curtis from Expanding Edge, and we're gonna mount some plywood inside the house. All right, the walls are up. To explain the interior walls, what we're doing is we're having these tall vertical seams that go against all of the window edges and the doors. What I like about this is in a tiny house, your space can feel small. But if you've got these lines going from ceiling to floor, your eye will be drawing up these vertical lines up to the ceiling, where it seems like it's bigger than it is. So we are now ready for the first coat of paint. So we just finished doing our first coat of spray paint and the plywood bubbled. The paint is a latex-based paint, so it has a lot of water in it. The veneer on the plywood is very thin, and behind the veneer is a less perfect sheet of plywood. The glue between that thin veneer can swell when it takes on the water from the paint. So what we have to do is we need to cut out every single bubble in the wood and then use this dry dex. It goes on pink and then turns white, and then I gotta sand it, and then we gotta come back and do another coat and cross our fingers that it doesn't bubble again. A lot of sanding ahead. All right, the good news is there was barely any bubbling. The bad news for me though is Donay just left and he told me that he's actually got his other job and he's got no more time left. I'm gonna be rolling the rest of the paint on the walls myself. I have to tell you guys that this has been incredibly taxing. This whole project is full of work. There's always too much to do. I need to be editing an episode, I need to be putting on paint, or I need to be working with the designer. I need to be 10 different places simultaneously. I don't have enough time, and I don't have enough money. I hope I can make it through to the end line. I really do. It's gonna be a bit of a marathon, and only time will tell. So I just came back from visiting the main shop here at Electric Horsepower, and I got some bad news. They need their shop space back. We're getting kicked out.